Ethan Callahan had inherited a vast stretch of land on the edge of town. For years, the acres had been left untouched, filled with wildflowers, tall grasses, and a stream that cut through the middle. He rarely visited, until a county notice arrived in his mailbox. It was a zoning map, showing his property now dotted with almost 100 newly built homes. Ethan blinked in disbelief. Somewhere along the way, someone had constructed an entire neighborhood right on top of his land. At the bottom of the notice was a name he would soon learn to never forget: Karen Hensley, president of the newly formed Homeowners Association. Determined to get answers, Ethan drove out to his property. Where wild meadows once grew, rows of pristine homes now lined paved streets. Families played outside, sprinklers watered manicured lawns, and HOA signs decorated the entrances. Standing proudly at the entrance, clipboard in hand, was Karen herself. She wasted no time approaching Ethan. "You can't park here without HOA approval," she snapped before he could speak. When Ethan introduced himself as the actual landowner, Karen laughed. "Nice try. This is our neighborhood now. You're trespassing." Her arrogance lit a spark inside him. Ethan decided not to argue. Not yet. Ethan began researching how an entire subdivision could be built without his permission. What he discovered left him both shocked and amused. Karen had worked with developers, falsifying documents to fast-track the neighborhood's approval. She had convinced the county that the land was abandoned and free for construction. No one had bothered to verify ownership. To the residents, Karen painted herself as a savior, the woman who built their community from nothing. They believed her. But Ethan now had the one thing Karen didn't: the deed proving every inch of land still belonged to him. While Ethan planned his next move, Karen continued her reign. She fined residents for the color of their curtains, for planting the wrong flowers, even for parking too close to sidewalks. She acted as though she owned the land beneath their feet, but Ethan knew the truth. Every HOA rule she wrote, every payment she collected, was standing on his property. The irony wasn't lost on him. Instead of rushing to evict, he decided to watch her tighten her grip, because the tighter she pulled, the harder the downfall would be. Ethan finally made his move at the next HOA board meeting. Karen sat at the front, lecturing residents about new mandatory landscape fees. Halfway through her speech, Ethan stood. Calmly, he laid a thick folder of documents on the table: original land surveys, tax receipts, and the deed signed in his family's name. Gasps filled the room. Karen tried to laugh it off, but her voice cracked as Ethan explained. "Every home here, every sidewalk, every blade of grass, it all sits on property I own. Not the HOA, not the county, me." For the first time, Karen had no words. The neighborhood was thrown into chaos. Families who once praised Karen now questioned her. How could she build their homes on land she didn't own? And what would Ethan do now? Evict them all? But Ethan wasn't cruel. He explained his plan. He wouldn't remove a single family. Instead, he offered them something Karen never had: honesty. Residents could lease their land directly from him at fair terms, removing Karen and her fraudulent HOA from power. Slowly but surely, families began siding with Ethan. Karen's empire crumbled. In the end, Karen was left with nothing but her clipboard and a reputation that would follow her forever. The county launched an investigation into her fraudulent filings. Developers backed out, and the HOA she once controlled vanished overnight. Ethan reclaimed his land, not by destroying families' homes, but by giving them a fair chance to stay. The neighborhood thrived under his ownership, free from Karen's rules and fines. And as Ethan walked the land one quiet evening, he smiled at the irony. Karen had built 98 houses on his property, thinking she'd won. But she had only handed him a community he never asked for, one that was his all along.